Hello everyone, my name is Rida Rizvi and I'm a Teach for Pakistan fellow teaching girls aged 7 to 16 at a girls' school in Islamabad. One of the first things I realized after becoming a teacher was that a child's performance at school and his behavior in class is impacted by so much of what is going on in his life outside of the school structures. Children tend to bring to their classrooms their lingering thoughts, the lasting emotions and energies from things that they're experiencing in other parts of their life, parts which may or may not necessarily be known by a teacher. For instance, in the community where I teach, most children attend home tuitions or go to mosques to get religious education. And during these out of school interactions, it is fairly common for them to experience corporal punishments by male tutors. The residual emotional effects of which I noticed had started to seep into my classroom as well. Just last year, I started noticing a change in behavior in one of my students. This normally very chirpy girl started to appear a lot more withdrawn and reserved. Upon inquiring, I found out that she had been facing harsh by a male tutor who teaches her outside of the school structure. Which was having an impact on her mental and emotional health, as well as having an impact on her academic performance at school. Now, in order to resolve this issue, my first approach was to hold a one-on-one meeting with my student, where I try to educate her on the idea of consent and bodily autonomy. And I also advised her to speak up for herself next time she's in that position. Unfortunately, this approach wasn't quite successful, possibly because of the power imbalance that typically exists in a teacher-student relationship. So even when she tried to speak up for herself, she continued to receive corporal punishments. So my next approach was to invite the girl's mother for a one-on-one meeting. Um, Now, bear in mind that in Pakistan and in the subcontinent, there's generally a relatively higher cultural acceptance for corporal punishments. And many people believe that as long as it is for a good end goal and for the purpose of inculcating discipline in a child, it's okay to do so. So when I was trying to explain the negative impact of corporal punishment on a child, um, it didn't quite work. So I had to reframe the narrative around religion. Now, in Islam, the physical touch between an unrelated male and female is prohibited. And I remember that my student had mentioned that many of the corporal punishments that she received from her male tutor involved a lot of physical touch. So I told the child's mother that because of the involvement of physical touch from her male tutor, these corporal punishments were in fact very un-Islamic as well. Unfortunately, this argument was very well taken by the girl's mother, and she assured me that she would make sure that these corporal punishments do not continue in the future. Now, since this was a rather community-wide issue, the girl's mother informed me that she would also discuss this unique perspective on corporal punishment with her friends. At which point I requested if perhaps I could hold a house meeting at her place where we could discuss this topic with perhaps a larger audience with more people from the neighborhood, to which the girl's mother very kindly agreed. Now, the reason why I wanted to leverage the support and network of this particular lady was that she belonged to a very influential family of the village. Her family was the donor to the school. They were also very revered in the community, and many people took their religious advice over matters. And lastly, they had lived in the area for decades and were known as community leaders who helped people around the neighborhood. Now, as a result of this, the house meeting at their place was a huge success. It was attended by a large gathering of women and girls from around the neighborhood. And by the end of the meeting, most girls and women left the meeting very convinced that these corporal punishments were, in fact, very un-Islamic. And I'm very excited to share with you that soon after this house meeting took place, parents became a lot more proactive in telling tutors not to administer corporal punishment to their children, which was a big relief for me because it led to a decrease in the instances of corporal punishments across the community. Thank you so much for listening to my remarks on the changing the culture of corporal punishment. But before I end my presentation, I'd like you to consider the following reflection question.